Napoleon Bonaparte's domestic policy, 1800 to 1814. 1800 to 1814. After his coup, Napoleon promised to stabilize France politically, socially, and economically. Following the French Revolution of 1789 and the end of anarchy, which he inherited from the Directory government, France was characterized by a shattered economy, religious conflicts, inefficiency, and corruption. So believe Napoleon Bonaparte, when he rose up, he wanted to achieve. So we are going to see the achievements of Napoleon Bonaparte. Number one, Napoleon made constitutional reforms in France. Napoleon made the 1799 constitution, which favored his role. After his coup, he changed the earlier Directory government constitution into a new constitution. So we are saying Napoleon made the 1799 what? Constitution. We believe by this time that Napoleon made the 1799 constitution. What was all about the 1799 what? Constitution. This makes us believe as he made a constitution, this was meant to help France move from one level to another what? To another level. So in this kind of arrangement, I can say Napoleon in the new constitution, he claimed to represent the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. So we are honoring Napoleon for coming up with the constitutional reform in France. You remember King Louis XVI didn't have a what? A constitution. Louis XVI said, the thing is illegal because I wish it. But we are realizing when Napoleon took power, he came up with a what? A constitution. Another one, he established a strong financial system. We believe by this time that Napoleon established a strong financial system as a way to overcome the financial and economic crisis in France. This was achieved by regulating the state. So we are like saying, Napoleon, one of the key issues he did by this time, in order to help France move from one level to another level, he established a strong financial system by, of course, regulating state expenditure and by centralization the taxation policy. So in this kind of arrangement, I can say that the financial system, Napoleon rectified the financial system by regulating the state expenditure. In other words, he had to regulate the state expenditure. State expenditure meant by this time that a state was not supposed to waste government money in unnecessary issues. And people had to pay taxes depending on their level of income. This was called progressive taxation system. You pay tax depending on your what? Income. Those with the high amount of money, it meant that they had to pay a lot of what? Tax. This wasn't before. This wasn't the case before. Because you remember, before the French Revolution of 1789, the peasants were the one paying taxes, and other people were not allowed to pay taxes. Napoleon promoted industry and commerce in France. He tried to develop the French industrial sector. By 1814, France had some 2,000 cotton mills, employing to close 40,000 workers. So we are like saying Napoleon promoted industry and commerce in France. By promoting industry and commerce in France, this meant that Napoleon was raising a country called what? France. By promoting industry and commerce in France, it meant that people are going to get employment opportunities. As the people got employment opportunities, this raised a country called France. Because as those people got jobs, they could buy also things from shops and other things and other areas, and in the process, the economy had to develop. Then Napoleon also promoted agricultural development. Agriculture was encouraged by official societies, publications, and prizes for successful innovations. For successful what? Innovations. Those people that were innovative, used to receive prizes from the government. This was done to boost what? Agriculture. From subsistence level to modern kind of farming, which could raise and help the country benefit, move from one level to another what? Level. So we are like saying Napoleon Bonaparte tried to achieve. Of course, he came to power in 1799, but he tried to do what? To achieve. He also improved on the public works or infrastructure in France. He established a fairly reliable system of transport and communication, which was necessary for a stronger economy. We believe by this time, a man established a fairly reliable system of transport and communication. This helped people to move from one area to another easily. And in this, the country called France had to develop. So we are looking at the achievements of Napoleon Bonaparte. The achievements of Napoleon Bonaparte. After rising to power, a leader must achieve. Another one, Napoleon introduced administrative reforms which strengthened France's administrative structure. He abolished weak feudal administrative structure of the past and centralized the local government under himself. We are like saying Napoleon Bonaparte introduced administrative reforms. Reforms. Changes had to rise up. By this time, he dismissed the weak feudal administrators who were there before. By this time, this was done to raise a country called what? France. So you cannot delete Napoleon from the equation because Napoleon raised a country called France. He made vital reforms in the field of education in France and Europe as a whole. He opened up public secondary schools and semi-military secondary schools run by the government, mostly emphasizing the teaching of mathematics, geography, science, and military training. We are like saying, a man in Napoleon developed education. In education, he built schools and encouraged the sciences. A man encouraged what? Sciences. This was done to boost the industrial what? Sector. By encouraging sciences, this raised a country called what? France. So we are looking at him encouraging sciences, and this led to the development of the industrial sector. Napoleon also promoted reconciliation with the Catholic Church in 1801. He reconciled the Catholic Church with the state through an agreement known as Concordat with Pope Pius VII in 1801. The relationship between the church and the state strained or worsened since the enactment of the civil constitution of the clergy. You remember, in the civil constitution of the clergy, the privileges of the Catholic Church were reduced. So Napoleon, after strategically calculating that France had so many Catholics, Catholics. What Napoleon did by this time, he reconciled with the Catholic Church, where he signed the Concordat. This is where Napoleon was willing to cooperate with the Catholic Church. It is this that made him a darling for so many people. That's why he managed to rule for some time. Then he introduced the policy of career open to talent, or the Legion of Honor. We are like saying today, Napoleon introduced the policy of career open to talent, or Legion of Honor, in his administration. He observed the revolutionary principles of merit. So we are like saying, Napoleon was giving jobs to people basing on merit, not because someone is a noble or clergy. This raised a country called France because of the career open to talents and the Legion of Honor, where he used to give prizes to the best performers. When you performed well, he could give you what? A prize. So we are raising the personality of a man. That is Napoleon Bonaparte. He also introduced Napoleonic called Napoleon. We believe by this time that the man introduced Napoleonic what? Code Napoleon. Napoleon gave France a code of law which brought harmony that lacked in the ancient regime. Before the rise to power of Napoleon, France had no common code of law. What existed were just hanging laws, which could change time after what? Time. So we are like saying today,